It's your girl D here with 8th House Energy. Here to bring you your Neptune retrograde reading. Neptune's in retrograde from June 28th to December 3rd. So we got all summer to look at things with these rose-colored glasses removed. And for you, it's going to be in your 5th house. So the 5th house is your creativity center. All right, it's what makes you uniquely you. I'm going to take one card at a time. It's your creative self, where all of your creative energy emits from. Some of you, with Neptune in retrograde there, some of you may be realizing that you have some creative abilities that maybe you didn't realize you had. So that might be coming out, maybe you have some psychic or because we're dealing with the house of creativity, and Neptune's a very psychic and creative planet because Neptune is the creative imagination. So for some of you, your creative ability that you may have had locked away may be coming out. Fire sign, okay, yeah, listen, you hear the sirens, right? So let me tell you, I was going to say Aquarius. Let me tell you, Scorpio, with Neptune in retrograde in your 5th house, the 5th house has to deal with short term. It has to, they call it in a nice way. They call it romance. But on the real low, let's keep it 100. The 5th house has to deal with like one night stands, situationships, sexual relationships that do not last. It also has to deal with the house of children. So some of you, you have to be careful. You may be realizing that your children may have played a little trick on you, may have deceived you in some way, shape, or form. Some of you may realize that the lovers that you were dealing with, whether currently or, if you're looking back over your past, you may be looking at how they deceived you. Okay? So that could be the case. But let's take a look and see what's up with these cards. So we have the 4 of Wands energy in reverse. All right, so the 4 of Wands energy, this is fire energy. So the 4 of Wands talks to me about, things not being what you thought they were. Maybe not being at peace with what happened, okay, or what went down. Let's take a look at these cards. So we got the 2 of Swords, the Ace of Cups, the 9 of Wands energy in reverse, the Page of Swords, and the High Priestess energy in reverse. Now, that's Piscean energy, and Neptune's in Pisces, which is in your 5th house. So for some of you, you're realizing that you're dealing with somebody, if this is on a relationship tip or a romantic tip or sexual or what have you, whatever connection you're in, you're looking for real love. So you do need to be careful to not drop your guard with people that you come in contact with. If this is a situation where you're looking back at past relationships, you're realizing that you dropped your guard with these people, and you realize that they were deceiving you. Some of them were deceiving you. They know you wanted a relationship. They didn't want to give it to you, so they would do and say everything but just to keep you around for their, for their pleasure. Some of you were dealing with, people who were draining your energy. Because the Scorpio energy, when you're dealing with other people and the sex organs, you're creating a soul tie. And some of them were feeding off of your energy, your creative energy. So some of you may be, now that you are celibate, you may realize that your creative energy and your intuitive powers and some of the things that you may not have realized you had, you may be saying, oh wow, I got new, I didn't know I was able to do this. I didn't know that I had premonition before, or I didn't know that I was able to tap into this before. It's not that you never had that power, it's just you were letting someone else drain you, or they were diluting because they've been in your energy for such a period of time. You probably didn't realize you had these abilities, and now that for some of you, you are celibate, you're realizing that you have these energies now. You have these powers, and you're starting to know how to use them, because Scorpio, you have to be very careful who you let into your energy. You are very powerful energy, and you can't just sleep with anybody. Most people who are coming to you as Scorpio energy are people who are wounded, all right, especially now. A lot of the people who will be coming to you between now and December may be people who have childhood wounds that have not healed, or you could have some childhood wounds that these people are that when these people come towards you, they may be subconsciously bringing out of you that have not healed yet. Sometimes, especially if you've been by yourself for a little while, you may think, okay, I'm good. I can go ahead and dabble into relationships right now. But what may happen is you may be tested and you may realize that you may have a childhood wound that didn't heal. Okay. And a person that you might meet between now and December may bring that out of you. So you do need to be careful with that. For others of you, this could be about maybe your fatherhood, or your childhood, because Leo, deals with the child. And when we look at the King of Wands in this positive sense, he is a lover of his children. He adores his children. Any man who has major Leo placements, not that, and whether he has major Leo placements or not, but I'm talking specifically about the men who have major Leo placements, especially Venus in Leo, Sun in Leo, Moon in Leo, some of these men, they are advocates for the children, and they fight for the children, and they love and adore their children. So some of you may have been in a one night stand with someone or a situationship with someone, and you had children as a result. And now you're looking back at the situation like, yo, this was just all it was just sex. But we created some beautiful children, and it is what it is. So some of you are coming to that reality as well. Um, Also, your creative energies, you really want to go into meditative mode if you can, because you're going to be reintroduced or introduced to some abilities that you didn't know you had. Some of you may want to do what you can to dabble into creative energies. Neptune is the planet of creative energy. It's the planet of creative imagination. So what I would recommend for you, Scorpio, is to tap into that inner child of yours, and so helping to heal that inner child. You may want to do things like, okay, if something tragic happened to you at a certain age, right? Maybe think about, okay, what was going on at that time as far as the things that you would have enjoyed doing as a child, and maybe tap into that. So maybe something like, okay, let me go get an adult coloring book and get some colored pencils, and Saturday I don't have nothing to do after I go shopping and stuff. Maybe I'm gonna just sit here and have a glass of wine, and I'll just doodle or color or draw or paint. You can go to Michael's and get you some canvas. Get a pack of canvas. It don't have to be a lot. Get like a 3-pack of canvas. It ain't no more than $30, and even that. Get you a couple of things of paint. You know what I'm saying? You can go to Michael's and get you a whole paint set, canvas and paints, and paint brushes and all of that for $50. Go to the sales section, and throw some old sheets on your floor in an area in your room, or a separate area. Throw some old sheets on the floor. Set up a paint and just paint. Just whatever comes to mind, just paint. If you want something to remind you of, patience, paint a symbol that you can put up on your wall, and that every time you walk past it, it reminds you to be patient. Or something to remind you to be in the here and now and not think about the past. Because sometimes in Scorpio energy, we get caught in our past. We may have healed, but we get stuck thinking about it all the time. So you may want to, paint something to remind you of, okay, I need to focus on the here and now, be in the present moment. So just paint some symbol that's, important to you, and, put it up on your wall somewhere, or put it up on your refrigerator, or whatever you want to do. Some of you are in an environment where you're teaching children. It's very important that you pay attention to the energies of the children, but don't let them deceive you. Okay? Some of you may sense that something's going on with whether it's your children that you've had, your children at home, or whether it's the children that you work with in your work environment or your community environment. You may sense some things going on with these children, or they may trigger something in you as well. So just keep that in mind. Okay? Some of you, you may want to think about how you deal with your money. Don't be so quick to splurge and spend. The fifth house deals with having fun. Some of you may need to have some fun, but, plan it within reason where you're not totally splurging your money. Some of you, the fifth house also deals with quick money, like lotto, gambling, things like that. Some of you may want to consider playing a lottery ticket. just to see what's up, what's popping, right? Play the lotto if you can. Remember to do that. But tap into your inner child. If you're a guy and maybe you like to collect action figures when you were a kid, maybe look around and see if you can find some of those action figures. Tap into that inner child. There's nothing wrong with connecting with that inner child. That child is always a part of you. Yeah, you're grown now. And yeah, this is now a new life, and your childhood could be considered a past life. But that child is always a part of you, and it's very important that you connect with that child, especially if that child experienced some type of wounding in the past, because you're always going to have to work on the healing. It's not like, okay, I'm healed and I'm done. No, it's always going to be, that child is always going to be a part of you. What you've experienced in childhood, whether it was negative, is always going to be a part of you. And so you need to feed that. It's like, I look at the wounded child as, everybody comes over for Thanksgiving, right? All the family members come over for Thanksgiving except for Uncle Buck, who sits in the back room in his chair, and nobody don't bring him out. Well, oh, what was it? What was that movie? I can't think of the movie, but what it was is the family members would get together for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, and everybody would have meals, and Uncle Buck would be in the back, and they would just slip a dish. I mean, what do you call it? A tray of food. They would just slip it under because he didn't come out. He didn't come out of out of the room, and they would get the food, and they would just put it on a tray and slip it under the door for him. That Uncle Buck in that back room that you're slipping the food under the door for, that represents that inner child in you. He's still a part of the family. You still have to honor and respect that, okay? And don't treat it like it's, oh, that's it, or that was a part of me that, oh my God, that's in the past. And no, you have to show love and compassion, to that child, so that it feels part of the family and it heals, because whatever that traumatic situation is, you can turn that into a positive and use it for when you need to use it for. Maybe it's a lot of anger. Maybe as a result of what you've been through, that childhood energy results in a lot of anger. You lose your temper. Well, there could be times where you can take that energy and you can use it to create something, transform that energy. Energy doesn't disappear. You just have to learn how to transmute it. And you, as a Scorpio, you're able to do that. You have the power to do that. So, that's something you want to consider. Let's take a look at these top 5 cards. 4 of Wands in reverse. 10 of Swords. Yeah, see, there we go. Some pain there. All right. King of Pentacle energy in reverse. Some of you didn't have your dad around. All right. The 5 of Pentacles energy in reverse, and you trying to get yourself back from that and heal from that. And Temperance in reverse. Maybe you don't heal from that, or maybe you haven't healed from that, and that could be causing a lot of imbalance in the current connections, and maybe that's why you're connecting with people who there's no longevity in the relationship. Maybe some of you are at a point where I'm not ready for a relationship. I just want to have fun, or you're just meeting people who just want to have fun. You know, Either way, it's an imbalance with the Temperance energy, whoever you're meeting and running into. So you got to be careful who you give your sexual energy to. It's very important. All right, especially as an ascending Scorpio, and you're trying to heal and grow from past situations. And don't think that just because you're celibate, that means you've healed. It does not necessarily mean that. It just means that you haven't been in relationships and scenarios where you've been triggered to deal with whatever needs to be healed. All right, because with this 4 of Pentacles, this 4 of Wands in reverse and this 10 of Swords, for some of you, you still haven't healed. And with the King of Pentacles in reverse, these 3 cards, you haven't healed from childhood wounds from your dad. Maybe your dad wasn't around. Like I said, Leo deals with, when we deal with the Leo deals with the son, the father, okay? The ego, okay? And some of you are still trying to recoup from that. And as a result, there's still an imbalance in your life. So for some of you, you may be triggered. That inner child may be triggered between now and December. So just keep that in mind. Whatever triggers you, or whoever comes around in the form of some quick fun, or a relation, not even a relationship, but sexual energy, sexual fun, just be mindful of that. Pay attention to these person's energy. It could be someone who's very attractive, a Leo-like energy, someone who's full of a lot of passion, a lot of fire, very charismatic, very sexy, someone very confident. And Scorpio loves that energy. But you do need to pay attention to what this person is showing you. Okay, because they may very well trigger you, and it may not be that they have bad intention. It just may be that the universe is saying, okay, I need you to take a look at this wound here, and I need you to do a little bit more healing on it. All right, so that's some of the things you might be dealing with between now and December. once the retrograde energies subside in reference to Neptune being in your fifth house, but this is your creative hub, your creative center. The rose-colored glasses are coming off, so for a lot of you, you're going to see that there may be some unresolved childhood issues that you may have to deal with. It could be, in your relationship to your children. Maybe you have some unresolved issues, and it could have an effect on how you communicate with your children. Or rather, if you're a teacher, unresolved childhood issues within you and how you communicate with your students. For others of you, this is again tapping into your creative energy, being introduced like a child to something new, to your energies that maybe you hadn't had before or you hadn't used before. They were suppressed or being drained from you because you were dealing with situationship type of energies, draining you of your sexual energy, which is your creative energy. All right, and you rule the sex organ, so you definitely got to be careful with the people you bring into your life, because the first thing they're going to do is drain your creative energy. All right, so that's what I got for you, Scorpio. Long story short, if you want something more detailed and more specific and catered to you and your energy and how Neptune is affecting you and the planets around it, as well as how it's affecting the natal planets in your chart, how it's aspecting those, reach out to me. My information's in the box below. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and I will see you guys in the next reading. Later, Scorp.